She had no idea whose driveway she was blocking, but my uncle. He doesn't play games, especially when it comes to his job as a cop. It was an ordinary Sunday morning, the kind where the breeze feels calm and everything moves slow. My uncle, a seasoned city cop with 25 years of duty behind him, had finally earned a peaceful day off. No sirens, no paperwork, no arrests, just coffee, quiet, and the comfort of home. But peace doesn't last long when entitlement shows up uninvited. Out of nowhere, a shiny silver SUV rolled into our quiet street like it owned the place, stopped right in front of his driveway, and shut off the engine. No note, no knock, no permission, just silence and the audacity to block a cop's only exit. My uncle watched from the window, confused at first, then concerned. Who would just park like that? And why here? Something didn't feel right. He had no idea who the woman was, but one thing was clear: this wasn't going to end quietly. Just as my uncle stepped away from the window, trying to shake off the unease, he heard the unmistakable click of high heels on pavement and the distant hum of a voice that didn't belong to anyone on this street. Curious but cautious, he stepped outside, and there she was, mid-40s, oversized sunglasses that barely hid her annoyed expression, one hand on her hip, the other gripping a large iced latte like it was some sort of badge of power. She wasn't lost. She wasn't in a rush. She was on her phone, laughing, completely unbothered by the fact that she was blocking someone's driveway. My uncle approached calmly, hands relaxed, his voice polite but firm. "Ma'am, you're blocking my driveway. I need you to move the vehicle." She didn't even look at him, just waved a hand like he was background noise. "It's just for a minute," she muttered. "You don't own the street." And that's when everything shifted. Not because he got angry, he didn't. He just paused, took a breath, and looked at her the way cops do when they already know how the next 10 minutes will unfold. She kept talking on the phone like he wasn't even standing there. No apology, no attempt to move, not even a glance toward the car. Most people, when they find out they're blocking a cop's driveway, feel at least a little nervous. Not her. She was standing there like she'd done this before and gotten away with it every time. My uncle asked her again, this time a little sharper, but still calm. "Please move your car." Now, that got her attention. She turned slowly, lips curled in disbelief, and said, "Look, I said it's just for a minute. I'm not causing a crime." His eyes didn't blink. "Blocking private property is against city code." He replied evenly, "Last warning." She laughed a full, mocking laugh and strutted back toward the house across the street like the conversation never happened. My uncle didn't move. He stood at the edge of the driveway, watching her disappear inside. His face didn't show anger, just disappointment. Not because his driveway was blocked, but because she had made it personal. She didn't know who he was, and she clearly didn't care. But she was about to find out that when you treat people with disrespect, especially the ones who know the law better than anyone, you don't get away with it. He pulled out his phone, not to text or scroll, but to make one call he knew would change the tone of the day in under 5 minutes. He watched her disappear into the house like nothing mattered, her heels clicking against the concrete as if she were walking away from a nuisance. Instead of a warning, and still, my uncle didn't raise his voice or chase after her. He just stood there, quiet, processing every second, letting the silence speak louder than words ever could. A soft breeze moved through the street, brushing past the front yards and rustling leaves. But all he could focus on was that unmoved SUV sitting squarely across his only way out. Its engine still cooling, its presence as stubborn as the woman who left it there. He turned, walked back inside, stood in the hallway for a moment, and then stepped into the small room where his uniform hung neatly pressed, untouched since his last shift. It wasn't about pride or ego, it was about principle. If she had just moved the car, if she had shown a shred of respect, it would have ended there. But her attitude had changed the rules. She didn't just block a driveway, she dismissed the man who asked her politely to move. And in doing so, she turned a simple moment into something that demanded a response. He put on his badge, clipped his radio, and walked out with calm authority, his steps quiet but determined. No rush, no anger, just purpose. He pulled out his phone again, This time dialing a contact saved for situations like this, someone who wouldn't ask unnecessary questions. Someone who understood the law was the law, no matter how small the violation seemed. The call lasted less than 30 seconds. Then, without a glance toward the house, he leaned against the fence and waited. His eyes fixed on the street like a man counting seconds, not minutes. Across the road, music from the party leaked through half-open windows, mixed with laughter. That had no idea what was coming. The SUV sat there, gleaming under the morning sun, unaware of how quickly things can change when someone crosses a line they didn't even bother to see. He wasn't doing this to prove a point. He was doing it because some people only learn when consequences arrive faster than excuses. And as the low hum of a distant tow truck rolled through the neighborhood like a quiet storm, my uncle didn't flinch. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, letting the moment unfold exactly as it should, silent, precise, and absolutely deserved. The rumble grew louder as the tow truck turned the corner, a heavy machine built for moments just like this. And my uncle didn't move an inch. He simply nodded at the driver, who already understood the situation with one glance at the uniform, the blocked driveway, and the expressionless man standing beside it. The truck reversed with smooth precision, chains unhooked, gears grinding softly as metal met rubber, and in less than 30 seconds, the SUV that had claimed space without permission was no longer touching ground. The hydraulic lift raised. It slowly, like justice rising on its own terms, quiet and unstoppable, across the street. Windows began to open, heads peeked out, conversations faded, laughter turned into silence. The party that had been full of noise just minutes ago was now frozen in confusion, as guests watched something they weren't expecting. A moment where someone who thought she could walk all over others was being reminded that actions do have consequences. Then came the slam of a door, followed by hurried footsteps. And there she was again, sunglasses off, phone in hand, voice sharp and panicked. She stormed out onto the porch, pointing, yelling, demanding that the truck stop, that someone listen, that this was just a mistake. But the truck didn't stop. My uncle didn't flinch. The paperwork was already done, the violation logged, and the driver was under instructions to follow protocol without delay. She waved her phone like it was a weapon, threatened to call someone, claimed she knew her rights. But in that moment, all the noise she made couldn't change what had already been set in motion. Her car was gone, her control over the situation gone. And for the first time since this had started, she looked genuinely stunned, like she hadn't even considered that someone might actually stand up to her. My uncle remained silent, hands still in his pockets, eyes steady. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He didn't have to. The tow truck disappeared down the road, SUV secured on its back. As quiet fell over the block again, one of the neighbors across the street stepped outside, glanced at my uncle, and gave the smallest nod of approval before slipping back inside. Karen stood frozen in the driveway. She'd blocked minutes earlier, now empty, now hers to look at with nothing left to say. The latte in her hand had spilled down the side of the cup. Her phone hung loose by her side, and all that attitude from earlier had vanished into the wind. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't personal. This was the quiet weight of consequences, finally landing on someone who thought they were above them. She stood there frozen, eyes darting between the empty spot where her car had been, and the quiet strength in my uncle's face as he handed her a citation with steady hands. No anger, no satisfaction, just the simple weight of doing what was right. She tried to argue, words tumbling out in frustration, but the tow truck was long gone, and so was any sympathy she might have expected. Round her, the world had changed. What was once a party full of noise had turned into a silent street where people watched from their porches, not to mock her, but to witness what it looks like when arrogance meets consequence. For a moment, she looked smaller somehow, not just because her car was gone, but because the power she walked in with had completely vanished. And as she turned away, not saying a word, I sat there on the steps, watching it all unfold, never more proud of Uncle Mike because he didn't raise his voice, didn't make a scene, didn't need to prove anything. He just stood for what was right. Sometimes, the strongest people are the quietest ones, the ones who don't chase justice. They carry it. Have you ever seen someone get exactly what they deserve without a single word raised? Let us know your story in the comments. And if this moment moved you even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful real-life moments right here on HOA Echoes, where every story echoes louder than words.